So the mobile show is a little bit difficult because we're all in different places. And when Chris or Vlad are talking, I don't know, do I look up this way? Do I look up this way? Do I just stare at the camera like a goon? Do I look down? Do I read ahead? It's awkward. It's weird. It's this weird, Brady Bunch thing, but we make it work. It's okay. But this week, we're going to try something a little bit different. I think we've got a solution to this whole problem. Stay tuned to the Verge Mobile Show. Hi, I'm Dieter Bone.
I'm Dan Seifert.
I'm Vlad Saville.
I'm Chris Ziegler.
And this is the Verge Mobile Show, episode 15, wherein we blow your minds by being in the same room.
So, Dieter, walk our good audience through how we planned that gag. I think it was really brilliant what you did.
It was all Brendan.
Wait, Brendan suggested that?
Yeah, Brendan, the producer, who you can't see because he's behind the wall, suggested we do that, so we did it. That's the whole story. I don't have anything else.
You really could have spiced that up. You could have been like, we were having dinner, and after our third drink, we were like, you know what, let's hoodwink our listeners.
Actually, what happened was I recorded that just a few hours ago, and then I got on a plane and flew here. We didn't think of it last week. We just now, today, decided to get together.
That's our dedication too.
Yeah. Yeah, and just like we do when we're talking on Skype, we're going to talk over each other. We're going to interrupt each other.
That's because we're on a time delay. We only hear each other after a couple of seconds. Actually, right before the show, we were debating whether to wear headsets, and it would have been a little silly since we're all...
Although, speaking of equipment, I am the only one who's brave enough to actually do this show without a laptop in front of him.
A true professional.
Yeah.
Well, that's not brave. That's just lazy, because that means that you need to rely on other people to tell you what the topics are.
No, I don't.
No, the topics are just going to organically flow.
Pretty much.
And,
pretty much. Also, there's the mystery of what is in my cup today.
It's water. Vlad only drinks water. That's not a mystery. Anyone who follows Vlad Wick on Twitter knows that he only drinks water.
All right, I've had enough of this Vlad.
Yeah, can someone explain Vladwick to me, please?
I don't even need an explanation. Let's not mention that name again, because I'm pretty sure this Vladwick character on Twitter is stealing followers from me.
Oh,
right? And that I'm not having it. At some point, I mean, at this point, really, I need to get in touch with Twitter and get validated. It's gotten to that stage.
You should.
It's really gotten to that stage. I mean,
you should.
I don't think you can ask. I think they just bequeath it onto you.
Yeah, I think that's the case. But at the same time, if you...
You want to get bequeathed?
Yeah, I do want to get bequeathed. And the thing is, you don't get bequeathed unless you ask for bequeathment.
So we're loopy because we've had a crazy, insane day.
Yes.
Life.
And it actually works out that we're a day late because we actually can talk about the things that happened on this crazy, insane day. And first and foremost, no matter what Motorola says, the main event today was Nokia.
Big time.
And I want to say it was Nokia and Microsoft, but I can't say that because Microsoft was there. They showed a little bit new, but this was
Two new
Nokia's
features.
thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for Microsoft's sake, let's give Microsoft credit. There is now a screenshot feature on Windows Phone 8. So let's get psyched.
It's a big deal in ICS.
I'm sorry, Joe Fiore
Dude,
took 20 minutes on stage. And he was like, and when you press the power button and the home button, whoa, it's a screenshot. And I'm like, okay. And what else are you going to show?
Actually, so we're going to talk about the 920 in depth. Don't worry. But the screenshot thing is important because
It is.
iPhone users have been depending on it to send random stuff to each other. It has become a consumer feature, not just a nerdy developer feature.
Right.
Everybody uses it all the time.
Yeah, my Instagram feed is always half screenshots.
Yeah.
Right.
No, listen, I'm being snarky, but I totally agree with you. And I also think Windows Phone immediately gets the advantage over Android because in Android, some devices do it one way, some devices do it another way. With some devices, you can press the power button and the home button and you get a screenshot. With other devices like Samsung's Galaxy range, you have to rub the palm or
It's the worst.
What part of you?
It's the meaty part of your hand.
Yeah, I mean, you have to rub flesh across the display
It's the worst.
in order to get a screenshot.
While not actuating the display.
Which is
Right.
in terms of natural gestures, you know how Samsung loves to talk about inspired by nature? there is no gesture in nature where you rub your palm across something and you get a screenshot.
That gesture is a gesture of, oh, God.
I mean, to be fair, meat is natural. Hand meat across the screen. That just pointing out, it isn't in violation of their you know.
But yeah, I mean, okay. But the reason I am being snarky is because on reflection, I mean, when the event's actually happening, everything kind of feels super exciting, you know, because it's just kind of coming at you so quickly that you just can't absorb it quickly enough. But on reflection, when Paul Miller, you know, he was asking me about the event, and I was asking him, well, Paul, what do you know about today's event, seeing as you can't be on the internet? He's like, well, I don't know. And he started asking me questions about it. And then I started trying to pick out the highlights from the Nokia event. And Paul asked me, well, what about Windows Phone 8? What did Microsoft reveal about that? And then it struck me how kind of silly and granular it is that Microsoft brought Joe Belfiore out on stage, and the only thing he could tell us was we can now do screenshots in Windows Phone 8.
Well, there was the camera
lenses,
lens thing,
lenses.
which is cool.
Yeah, which are definitely cool.
Well, actually, the camera lens thing would have been cool if they had announced Instagram support. So if you didn't see, one of the new features of Windows Phone 8 is like app developers will be able to integrate into the camera as quote unquote lenses. And so when you launch the phone app, you can either launch the standard stock phone app, or you can launch, you know, some custom camera app that has particular filters or better settings or whatever you want. It's a really clever feature. It's a really smart idea, and it fits with the Windows Phone ethos of like tying stuff into hubs, so they don't just have an app on the screen that ties into the rest of the ecosystem on the phone. So it's like that feature was designed for Instagram, and no dice.
Regardless,
And Microsoft is a buddy with Facebook. It should happen.
Well, Vlad, to your point, though, I think it was very. I mean, even if Joe Belfiore got on stage and didn't say a single thing, he just stood there and smiled for the camera. It was important to have him involved with the event because it was presented from the get-go as a combo Windows Phone 8 and Nokia event, and I don't think that anybody really expected major Windows Phone 8 revelations there.
Did.
You did?
Well, I mean, not in the past couple of weeks, but I expected Windows Phone 8 would have had a big unveiling by now. Like, there's no room to have a big Windows Phone 8 unveiling now. There's nothing, because
Sure
it's
there
all,
is.
no, what are they going to show
But
that'll blow
that's
people's
the
minds?
point. That's the point.
It's like, it's all
You
trickled
don't
out,
know.
small events.
Yeah.
You don't
and,
know.
Dude.
But I think that's exactly the point, Dieter. The fact that Microsoft has been doing exactly that, trickling out, okay, there's this feature, now there's this feature, and we have this event, and we're going to let you know about Windows Phone 8. We're going to let app developers know what they can do and what potential they can find. And now it's kind of, I mean, the indications we're getting is that essentially Windows Phone 8 is going to launch alongside Windows 8 for the desktop and tablets and all that madness. But then Microsoft can't really have a big blowout event because, like we're saying, it just trickled out all the features. And now what's going to happen, apart from Dieter grimacing for Chris's... Dude, you're using a Galaxy Nexus? That's embarrassing.
Yeah.
Let's take a photo.
Well, I mean, I don't have any other options on me at the moment.
I find it really hard to believe that you came to New York City with one phone in your bag.
2.
Only
This-
2? Wow.
Yeah, this and a Lumia 900, of all things.
Roughing it.
Yep. Ouch.
Boo.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
But yeah, I mean, like, my point is, and it was really supposed to be more of an aside about Microsoft, is that the Windows Phone 8 launch is kind of confused. And also, to Chris's point about this was supposed to be the big event, honestly, the way this was built up, it was... Here it is. Like, Nokia, you're getting the flagship Windows Phone 8 device. It's happening. It's been announced. And I mean, we still haven't even touched on the 920 itself, which is a fascinating device. We can talk about its features and its assets, but there's no release date.
Or price.
Or price, right?
Well, I
That
mean,
was-
actually, price I don't care about because prices tend to fall within sort of ranges and
And it's on a market by market basis.
exactly.
Yeah, you can't
Yeah,
really talk
exactly.
about price. But that was, I think, a really amateur mistake, especially after the amount of heat that Microsoft got over the Surface announce. You think that they would have said to Nokia, hey, you know, maybe we should talk specifics here.
Yeah.
I think the reason they didn't is that Windows Phone 8 is getting pushed. I think the 920 is ready to ship.
Yeah.
And I
I
think
think
they're
so
waiting
too.
on Windows Phone 8.
I think so.
Which also partially explains why Microsoft isn't showing everything that they're doing in the platform.
I mean, and that's a frustrating thing. Most of the demos were hands off. today.
Right.
That is completely aggravating.
And when you did get a phone in your hands, it was, somebody was over your shoulder all the time, and they were like, I need the phone. And you're like, "Oh, okay, do you want me to talk about this phone's capabilities? Do you want me to tell the world that Windows Phone 8 is great? Or do you want me to tell them, I saw the home screen, it looked like the home screen they showed a month or two ago, and they didn't let me touch the rest." And this is a frustrating thing. The build-up was, and the delivery should have been, Nokia announces Windows Phone 8 device, tells us it's out in 2 weeks. Microsoft tells us Windows Phone 8 is out in 2 weeks. I mean, this is the thing that Samsung was trying to steal thunder from by announcing the Ativ S. Mm-hmm. Okay, I just did all the pronunciations.
It's Ativ,
I kind of gotten it wrong. I mean, we've established beta is beta, but I think it's Ativ now with Samsung.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Ativ, yeah.
I thought when Samsung pre-announced their Windows Phone 8 device, they were trying to steal some thunder from this event.
So, well, Nokia made a big deal about how, we're showing the first working Windows Phone 8 device on stage, as opposed to
on stage.
As opposed to Samsung, which just announced Ativ and didn't show it. But really, Nokia didn't really show us any more than Samsung showed us, because we still don't have that release date, we don't have a price, and we couldn't take an actual deep look at a working device in hand.
Right.
Yeah, and to that point, I mean, let's just shame Nokia straight up. Let's get right into that.
Well, hey, we need to talk about the 920.
No, we'll talk about 920, but this is actually more important because we cracked this, and this is full credit.
And by this we mean Nokia's sense of pride and self-worth.
Yeah, I guess. But okay, let's give credit to TC Sotik from our news team, who spotted that Nokia's demo video showing the PureView technology and the optical image stabilization, which is built into the 920, which again we can discuss in a bit more detail in a second. So Nokia was showing that off.
Yeah, if you haven't seen the video, there's a girl, she's riding a bike, and then her boyfriend, some guy that she met on the street, whatever, is riding next to her, and he's holding up the Nokia phone, filming her, and they're showing off their image stabilization, because the lens can actually float inside there, so that it's got actual physical image stabilization, which is really cool for a phone. And so you look at the video and then you see it stabilized, and you're like, oh, well, they just showed video from the phone. But TC noticed a reflection in the window of the van behind the girl that showed a DSLR camera and lights and whatever filming it instead of just the little camera. So they faked it, which is amazing.
And the thing is, that's fine so long as you have the little disclaimer at the bottom saying we're simulating it, but Nokia never did. And the really amusing thing, and the thing that I don't need a laptop to read, Chris, is that Nokia then went to Nokia Conversations and they issued a full apology, saying we're really excited about the capabilities, and what we've done is we've only simulated the capabilities of optical image stabilization in the PureView camera in the 920. So I mean, so somebody commented, and you.
Oh, here's a video. We got it up.
There we go.
So you can see it shaky
until the DSLR comes in. Oh yeah. When you use the DSLR in a van and use your own special
full
light,
rig, full suspension rig and whatnot.
And when your girlfriend is an actress.
Oh.
There it is.
Oh, what's up?
Fan lights.
That's beautiful. And also we're completely trolling Nokia.
Of course, in hindsight it's 2020, but we should have posted a disclaimer stating this was a representation of OIS only. This was not shot with a Lumia 920, at least not yet.
So look, let me just talk about the 920 hardware for a minute.
Please.
It looks like okay.
Whoa, dude.
I know.
I want to talk about the hardware, not you. I wasn't like, so look, let's have Dieter talk about the hardware for a minute. I want to talk about the hardware. I still love the design of the 900, and I love what they seem to be evolving their ID a little bit. Mm-hmm. They're moving toward glossy.
Lame.
Except for the one color, or two colors.
Well, I'll get to that. And that's going to be, I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about that for 20 minutes, and I'm going to get so angry about it that I knocked the mic right out of the stand.
You should have just thrown it on the ground.
And left. It's not going to be the first time I do that, or the last time.
While you're adjusting your mic, I want to be on record that glossy is stupid, and it was a mistake to do that.
It is. I agree. Thank you.
No,
I totally agree.
But there's a very easy reason why glossy is
they're stupid.
No, it's the polycarbonate construction. It is why we have the white glossy Lumia 800 and 900, and it's why the brand new lipstick red, is that what they call it?
Yeah.
The yellow, and I'm a big fan of the yellow. Lumia 920s are glossy because doing the matte finish obviously just isn't possible. It isn't feasible, and that's why there's the black version, which is matte.
You know, building a phone out of complete and solid titanium presents design problems. You just choose not to do it. Like the building phones is hard. Designing phones that look good is really hard, and they just chose to take a flyer. I mean, maybe they think glossy looks better. I think it looks stupid.
I think that there are some colors that maybe benefit from glossy, and to Vlad's point about the specific colors requiring glossy, I mean, like, I think that's definitely true with white. You know, you look at the 1X.
Right. It gets so dirty.
It gets so dirty so fast.
And same with the white 808 PureView was a matte finish that got filthy so quickly.
Yeah.
Come on, my 1X is still white.
Well, that's because you're clean as a whistle, Vlad.
It's whiter than this supposedly white cup.
But anyway, let's turn the attention to what I think we really all want to talk about, which is the distinct and very obvious lack of cyan on the 920. It's a tragedy. Like I don't think it's an exaggeration to say that this was the single biggest mistake that they made with this phone, because there is such an indelible bond between that color and Nokia now that they've cultivated over 2 generations of devices now. And they've just thrown that away, and I don't know why.
And just to support your point, today the red carpet outside of the building was blue. When we walked in, the carpet inside was blue.
Yes, it's
the
Nokia's
lighting
color.
everywhere around us was blue.
It's Nokia's color.
I was shooting, the live log photos, and I was thinking, people are going to look at these photos and they're going to think I've screwed up my white balance because everything around us is blue. Until the presentation started and they normalized the colors. But yes, I mean, not only Nokia's colors, it's Microsoft's color. If Microsoft can be identified with any one particular color, it would be blue, right? For the most part. I mean, most of the Windows use UI is blue.
I'm sorry. We do not need to be talking about these colors. I really derailed this with my little
No,
I'm sorry.
no, it is a big no. I wrote a 750-word report on this today. I get to talk about it for 20 minutes.
You got to 750 words talking about cyan.
No, it may have been closer to 700. I can't remember, but it was up there. Point being, no, I think that this is a big deal because they have an entire cyan ecosystem now. They have the cyan headphones. Yes, they do. They at Nokia World last year, they debuted Monster headphones in cyan, which everybody was wearing. Dan remembers.
I do.
They have that what do they call it? The Luna or something. The NFC Bluetooth headset
and they
in
got
cyan.
The Play 360
Yes.
speakers. Yep.
Yes. And so they that was the other thing. JBL came out with a new cyan speaker that's compatible with the wireless charging on the A2920 today that they showed.
Which yes, it has wireless charging.
Yes. And they showed it working with a yellow 920, which was just the ugliest color. Like it was offensive that they demonstrated this cyan speaker with a yellow 920. Demonstrated with the black or the gray or whatever, or really demonstrated with the cyan that doesn't exist.
Chris.
So here's my theory. Wait. Here's my theory. What I think is going to happen is this. I'm so mad right now. I'm gonna knock the mic out again any second now. They are going to end up tying the cyan version of that phone, which I'm convinced exists, to a specific carrier.
Right.
It's going to be a carrier exclusive. I don't know if it's going to be AT&T or what, but we'll see it. That's what I think is going to happen.
Okay.
Wait. We need permission to talk from Chris.
Yeah, no, I'm done. I'm done. Rant over.
I was just going to point out that the cyan and the yellow go really nicely for the Swedish audience.
Oh,
That's true.
That is a good
Wow.
point. Yes.
Why do you hate the Swedes?
You like that?
That's true.
Also, just I've still got an HTC One X standing up here on the table for those of us who are just listening, and you guys can use this as a sort of instructive image for what the size and shape of the 920 is. Not so much the shape, but in terms of size, width, and height, it is almost a perfect match for the Lumia 920. Which actually, the HTC One X has a 4.7-inch display, has a bigger display. The Lumia 920 has a smaller display.
No, I think they're the same.
No, it's 4.7 versus 4.5.
Okay,
inches.
my mistake.
So just in terms of physical dimensions, in terms of
Right, you're right,
resolution,
yep.
they're pretty much, as Chris says, just 48 lines worth of difference. And also, it's worth mentioning that the One X is still the best display, though.
Yes.
All of us think we're seeing on any mobile device. And I have to say, the 920 in the again short time that I was looking at it was close. Like I can't say immediately this is as good as the One X, but I had them side by side. I looked at its viewing angles. Again, looking at the freaking home screen all the time because that's when Microsoft and Nokia let us look. It's just a really good looking display, is what I'm saying. So when I take the One X and when I take the Lumia 920, I just think both have really high quality display. So give credit to Nokia for that. And also another comparison with the One X. This is something that I did myself and tried it out, and it was very much true. Nokia had this dark room where they had a bouquet of flowers, I believe it was, in a dark room, and they're just a bricked out hole in the wall where you stick your phone in, you take the photo, and then you bring it out.
What?
I mean, it's creepy. I know.
Oh my God.
But the premise is,
can I say what that is on the podcast? With that, no, okay.
I think people can guess. but the premise is it's a dark space.
Craig's really really mad at me right now.
All right, look. The point is, it's a dark space. You take a photo of the darkness, and then you see what the product is. And this was all done in auto mode. So I had the One X with me. The demo guy who wouldn't let me freaking touch the 920 that I had on him. And again, no flash enabled, all in auto mode. So I'll try and show this to one of our cameras.
That's not gonna work.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really dark image that I got with the One X. But on the Lumia 920, it was almost like it was regular lighting. Here we go, Creighton is going to assist us. But yeah, the One X image is dark, whereas the 920 was just amazing. You could basically see all of it.
Well, I mean, look, other than my unreasonable complaint about the glossiness and Chris's unreasonable complaint about the lack of a cyan color, like, does anybody have any real genuine complaints about the hardware? Like,
No.
It looks great.
No, I mean, my complaint in quotation marks is I'm still somebody who loves 4.4 inch devices.
Right.
This is just bigger. I don't want a phone that's the size of the One X. I'm using the One X right now, and I'm not that happy with the size. I want a smaller phone. That's my complaint. But then you also have the 820, which again has a couple of compromises. But big time, I'm impressed with the optical stabilization that Nokia has come up with. I was one of those people who thought branding this new camera, which is an 8 megapixel sensor, as PureView was kind of sacrilege on your own branding. Because PureView, let's not beat around the bush. Nokia can say whatever it wants to say today, but PureView was oversampling, massive sensor, bring it, take 41 megapixels of data, bring it down to 5 megapixels, blow people's minds.
Right.
That's what PureView meant. It was about the oversampling. Then, yesterday, Damien Dinning, Nokia's camera chief, is, taking to Twitter and spent the whole day saying it is not one specific feature. PureView is just out branding for great pictures. But in this case, I'm fine with that, actually. It's kind of like Apple's Retina display. Retina tells you it's going to be really high density. It doesn't. I don't really care about this. If you hold it such and such distance, I don't really care about the technical definition of Retina. I care about the fact that if I go and get an Apple product and it says Retina on it, I can expect a high density display on that device. With Nokia, it's true. If I get a PureView device, I can expect high image quality. I mean, again, you need to test it, you need to review it, but it looks like it's going to be a really kick-ass camera. It's going to be one of the best cameras on a smartphone. Yeah. But I mean, the same issue remains. When is that going to happen?
Right. I mean, back to the camera. I'm really excited to try it out and stuff because the camera on the 800 and the 900 was just so utterly disappointing. So I'm excited to give it a test and give it a run. I really hope it lives up to Nokia's claims that they made today. So, but we'll find out.
Well, we'll find out. Like when we actually get to use it for an extended period of time.
And that's the thing.
And
I'm just gonna jump in here and steal the awesome segue, which is something a whole bunch of people have mentioned, which is that today's two events, Nokia and Motorola, just seem like, in some degree, in some respect, desperation moves to try and preempt the upcoming iPhone. And we know the upcoming iPhone is this time next week.
Yeah.
So, I mean, tell us what Motorola announced.
Oh.
The main event, dude.
The main
event.
The main event at the Motorola event was for like 45 minutes before it actually started. They had a band come out, and these guys are perfectly good musicians. They're brothers. They're very, very good looking guys. They wore skinny jeans. They played music. It was
Great contact.
good. But the name of the band was The Kin.
Oh,
They lead off the show of a new phone coming to Verizon with a band called The Kin, knowing that they had just bussed a whole bunch of people over from a Microsoft.
So what
smartphone
you're
event.
saying is that Motorola spent $500 million to book the Ken, and then in 6 months they're just going to drop them and they're going to disappear.
Yeah. It's like, was it a subtle dig at Microsoft or was it just like complete tone deafness?
I have no idea. That's just crazy to me.
Yeah. And so they're playing, and like, I'm like, you know, live blogging them playing, which is really surreal. And then they're trying to get the audience to join in. And then they need to get off the stage so that, you know, executives can get on the stage. And so they're like walking in the crowd and singing. And I'm like standing right here, sitting right here. And they're like singing along, playing guitar right there. It was terrible.
Were they trying to get you to sing along as
Yes.
well, I believe?
Yes. It was.
And did you?
No, I did not. But it set me up to not dislike what came entirely. Which, okay, so it's the RAZR HD and the RAZR HD Maxx, two phones that should just be one phone, but whatever. And it's an iteration of the RAZR. It's a bigger screen, higher resolution, gigantic, massive, huge batteries. I think it's 2,500 and 3,300.
Yeah,
maybe
the big one is 3,300.
Yeah, just huge. And the Maxx isn't that much thicker than the regular one. Just the way it is now, you can definitely feel the extra weight, but that's about it. And Pentel displays.
So Avi Greengard, who is an analyst that is a good friend of ours, said on Twitter today something that I thought was very interesting, and that's that he thinks that the only reason these two phones exist is because Verizon wanted one at $199 and one at $299.
No, this is what I've been saying all day. That the reason that there's two phones is they wanted to hit the two price points, and it's Verizon calling for it. And then they announced a third phone to hit the third price point at $99, which is the RAZR M, which is basically a RAZR with a S4 processor. Although they're not saying what the processor is.
We actually got one of those.
Yeah, and you know, it's just like a thick little RAZR. I mean, it's.
Yeah, so
No,
it's like
RAZR
a little bit
Maxx.
thicker than, you know,
little
the
RAZR.
original RAZR by like maybe a millimeter. Let's see if I can get a profile shot.
But yeah,
There you
it's
go.
$99.
But it is really tiny in your hand. And it's got this tiny little zero bezel screen.
And look, you know, people have been saying
But-
all day. I mean, there's been a lot of vitriol sort of levied toward Motorola in the past few hours, and some of it is fair, I think. But I mean, these are very iterative products, right?
Right.
But the RAZR Maxx is one of the more loved Motorola phones in recent memory, apart from the display. And while the RAZR Maxx HD doesn't fix that entirely, it does make it better.
Okay,
right?
so it makes it better because
720p.
it's 720p, and so like the text does not make me want to like die. Like it's way better. But they started this trend. I want to say it was with the Atrix XG. It might have been a little bit before, where they decide that like they're going to win on color fidelity, and Motorola's definition of color fidelity is to blow out all the colors in like just maximum saturation. Like you look at the green, and my metaphor was there's this green icon for text messaging, and it was basically going hi, 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 I'm green, hi, hey, over here, I'm green. No, really, look how green I am. Green. It's terrible. It looks bad.
It's too green.
Yeah, it's way too green.
Can we keep going with your interpretation of the Motorola UI?
So let's talk about the UI because
The UI is great.
very light, and which is great. It's a very small or limited manipulation of Android. But what we're looking at is Android 4.0, which I find totally insane because one of the big presentations at the beginning, and they showed a giant slide behind the executive said Jelly Bean. And they say, and they're launching with ice cream sandwich, and we're gonna get Jelly Bean promised at some point.
Also,
later on.
but you have to give Motorola credit for some crafty phrasing, because they said we're launching these phones with Jelly Bean by the end of the year.
Yeah.
And you know what else? I was busy writing up some of the Nokia stuff coming out of the Nokia event, but at the same time, the live stream was going on, and I was kind of keeping a third eye on it. And Eric Schmidt was doing a presentation, and I was like, whoa, hang on a second. If Eric Schmidt is here, maybe these guys are going to do something more serious. Maybe there'll be some more Google involved.
That is something that we should talk about, though, because I really believe that the firewall that supposedly exists between Google proper and Motorola would prevent someone of an Eric Schmidt caliber from presenting at a Motorola event. I thought that Woodside would be the top level executive that we would ever see at a Motorola
Eric
event.
Schmidt was there to basically to introduce Woodside and to like have they got Marty Cooper, father of the cell phone, to come, and so he gave like this like historical, isn't it amazing the world we live in and how far smartphones have come, and isn't the Android ecosystem awesome? Excuse me. And he dropped like the standard, these are the Android activations per day. And I forget the number, some
105
multi-thousand.
So it's
No.
1.3 million
a day.
Yeah.
And I believe there's 480 million devices activated.
Right, and like
now.
70,000 of that 1.3 million is tablets.
So just to be absolutely clear, my 105 million was completely out of my imagination.
Just a little bit.
So I mean, those numbers always come from Schmidt or somebody high level. So
Yeah,
that might
Schmidt
have
or
been
Rubin,
why. But the thing that I took away is actually kind of the opposite of what you took away, is that the firewall between Google and Motorola is fully there. Because the fact that they are launching with Ice Cream Sandwich and couldn't get Jelly Bean done in time shows that they didn't get any early access. Like it's like they had Jelly Bean running on the demo units for the RAZR M and the RAZR HD, and the first ones I looked at didn't have it, and then we heard they were across the room, so we went across the room. And the RAZR M is pretty close to being good to go. Like I played with it, it's pretty close to ready. But the RAZR HD's implementation of Jelly Bean is not at all. Like it's stuttery and jittery. Like it's just straight up not ready yet, which means that Motorola straight up hasn't had time with it yet.
I think that these are probably, my guess is that these are the last Motorola devices we'll see that were too far along for Google to have significant input before they were released. I think that by 2013, we're going to see a very different Motorola.
You know what we're going to continue to see, though, is skins. Like Motorola, I don't think Motorola is going all stock. I really don't.
It's getting closer. To Dan's point, though, it's getting lighter and lighter and lighter.
Yeah, they added one
every
thing that's really
iteration.
clever. They're if you swipe left from the first home screen, because their home screens go horizontally and it starts at the leftmost position. If you swipe left now, there's a settings menu there. So instead of like putting quick settings in the notification area or like, you know, make your own widgets or whatever, they just put it all the way to the left.
You know what this evokes is the swipe UI on Nokia's N9.
little
You're
bit.
swiping the whole screen over,
Stop saying
and you're getting that cool quick settings menu.
Please
which
don't
is,
say that.
Yeah,
pretty
it's
neat.
not fair.
That hurts.
I'm sorry, Vlad.
To anybody who cares about Nokia's future rather than Nokia's glorious past, that hurts.
I mean, the other thing we need to point out here is RAZR HD and RAZR HD Max. No price, no release date.
But you can pretty much guess the price.
Oh, well, it'll be $199, $299.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, I don't know what are they afraid of? Are they afraid they're not going to launch it in time? They're just said before the holidays, which is like great, December 23rd.
I don't understand either them or Nokia or Microsoft holding these events. I really don't, because like I can relate to the Nokia fans, but what this event will build up for a Nokia fan is anticipation, yes, but equal amounts of frustration as well.
Right.
But they're not doing it for our benefit or for our readers' benefit. They're doing it for that 5-second soundbite on the nightly news,
Yep.
where it says Nokia unveiled its next generation phones today, running Microsoft's new operating
No,
system.
they're doing it.
and that's it.
They're
That's
doing
all
it.
they
No.
want.
More than that, they're doing it for the 2-second mention when they talk about the iPhone
Yeah.
on the news. Oh,
Yeah.
Apple announced blah 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 blah. Oh, these other things were also, you know,
No,
it's
it's
going to compete with these things.
Yeah.
But you know, I mean, at the same time, we're supposed to be the savvy ones who follow this industry, rather than the ones who report about Nokia launching Windows 8 phones.
Right.
Okay, because I'm just going to start naming and shaming people. Financial Times yesterday, check it out. Nokia is launching Windows 8 phones, and I'm like, yeah, okay,
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that.
There was
Those.
Would it be amazing if
There was
they did?
another video
Windows 8 phones.
by another
I'm looking
publication
forward
that
to
did
it,
the same
guys.
thing.
I'm looking
Windows
forward to
8.
it.
No, but
phone.
these events going like they rush to get these events out before the iPhone, and not giving a clear launch date or price, or like letting people touch the phones. It's so transparent. It's like you might as well have worn a sign saying, we did this thing that you suspect us of doing, of rushing to get out before the iPhone. It's like, let's hold an event. Hey, you're not wearing any pants. Nah, I don't need pants.
But that's the point. A lot of people might not immediately pick up on it, but or at least consciously pick up on it. But then you kind of subconsciously get the point that this company isn't giving you substance.
Yeah.
Because people are, and I don't know how to put it exactly, but our minds are smarter than our conscious minds, if you like. So somebody scored a touchdown, I think. So we got the SB Nation crew hollering over there. But yeah, let me take the glasses off as well. But yeah, people pick up on the fact that you just held an event, you just spent an hour or whatever breaking down, talking, and then at the end it's like, where is the substance? And frankly, again, coming back to Paul asking me about the highlights with these phones, the 920 and the 820, I mean, one of the big things is, well, the 920 comes in these bright new colors, and then you have to kind of start picking things out. You have to give people the fundamental details. This was a consumer-facing event for Nokia and for Motorola, and you're not giving consumers the details that they want to know. It's like, I want to sell you this. And a lot of people, as far as Nokia goes, and I'm sure there's still some Motorola fanboys knocking about the place, are like, yeah, I want to give you money for this. I'm buying what you're selling. Let's get the pre-orders flowing, right? Whereas Motorola is the only one who gave us a pre-order, and it was...
On the M.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The M, the one that has the old display that nobody actually wants. But at the same time, let's not just be whinging and moaning. I want to give credit to somebody who did it right, and that was actually Sony. Because back at IFA last week, Sony introduced the Xperia TX, the Xperia T, one of those...
The J and the V.
Just by saying that...
Okay, hang on. I was building up to caveating myself. Right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. It takes a while. Work with me here. Okay, so Xperia TX, Xperia T, disastrous naming scheme because one of those going to Germany only, the other one is going all across Europe.
And Sony was key to say that they're really not that much different in their release.
Is it the T that's going to Germany for Teutonic?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's so much more logical than whatever the hell Sony's thinking. And then there's the Xperia J.
They should have called it the Xperia Teutonic. That would have been the best.
I mean, the naming scheme is nuts. But what Sony got right, and got so right, is these are, again, as Chris was saying, incremental devices, incremental upgrades, but they're coming out in 2 weeks. So it's like Sony is saying, here's our latest phone. It looks like the old phone, but we've improved the camera, we've improved a few things. The design is sweeter, it looks fresh. Mm-hmm. We're shipping it with, not the latest version, but, Jelly Bean is coming. It's the same thing that everybody's saying.
Yeah.
And you know what's
a release date now.
And you know what's a feel good story about that is that historically Sony Ericsson was one of the worst offenders where they would literally have like a press event in like February and launch the phone in like October.
Yeah.
It was really bad for a long time. The X1, I think we talked about it before.
Example.
Yeah. So that's good to see.
Well, I mean, I guess we should yell at Samsung. We actually haven't podcasted since they had their crazy event with magicians and wands and stuff at IFA. They didn't give us a price or release date for the Galaxy Note 2.
They never do.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like with Samsung, we're like, yeah, they'll ship it. And
but that's the thing. Here's a big.
There's
difference.
no like.
Here's a big difference for me between Samsung and Nokia because there'll be people who say I'm too forgiving on Nokia, and then there'll be people who say Vlad is an absolute and utter Nokia hater. He wants to destroy the state of Finland.
He does.
Right. The distinction for me between Samsung and Nokia is Samsung delivers the phone while it is still on the bleeding edge and while it is still the most desirable freaking thing, and it has unique features. Nokia doesn't. And the thing, I wrote up a report about Nokia starting over and published it about an hour before we got here for the podcast. And in that, I pointed out the N8. And when the N8 was announced, that was one of the most exciting devices back in 2010. It was the first device with a 720p video recording. It had an amazing camera. Okay, it ran Symbian, but you can't have it all. and then it took, 6 months to get to market. And by that point, the Evo 4G had just completely stolen that thunder. Completely. And this is Nokia's track record, and this is why Nokia is going down and why Samsung is going up, because when Samsung releases, it still has unique features. Whereas Nokia is this really nice touchscreen that we mentioned that you can use with gloves on, but it's made by Synaptics. What's stopping HTC beating Nokia to market? HTC is going to do we have a date yet? We have a number.
I thought we had
19th
one.
is their
19th,
event.
right.
Yeah, it's coming real
think.
soon. Yeah.
19th or 18th, and no, HTC is going to launch its Windows Phone device. That's what we presume is going to happen. So, what if that device has the same touchscreen, but then adds some HTC magic on top?
In terms of the hype cycle, remember we debated this a couple episodes before, the fact that some companies seem to think that scheduling an event before an Apple event is the best way to steal their thunder. I was saying that I think the best way to do is to schedule afterwards.
Yeah,
so now we have companies trying to do it on both sides.
I don't think anybody's trying to steal their thunder. They're just trying not to get soaked by the rain.
Right.
I
yeah.
mean, nobody
that's a better
thinks
way
they're
of putting
really
it, yeah.
gonna.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. There's no. You're right. Yeah. You can only hope to not get drowned by Apple News.
But you know what else? I also think that there's something to be said for those old sayings that are recited about the pioneers of the American capitalist industry. You know, Henry Ford and those guys who are like, take care of the customer's needs, the profits, and the finance will take care of themselves. That kind of thing. So if you actually do your business properly, if you stop trying to negotiate the Apple behemoth and just start trying to produce, good, solid phones priced at a reasonable spot, something that can appeal to people, something that makes sense to people and gives them reason to buy. I mean, a perfect example that we keep reciting is the Xperia Mini Pro, right? It was just a good phone, made a ton of sense, and it was just so cheaply priced. And I don't know if I'm being a Sony fanboy here, but I just really like...
You kind of are.
I just really like the way Sony said, didn't make a huge deal out of these new phones. I don't think they should have had free phones, obviously. Didn't make a huge deal, just gave us a release date and said, we're pushing them out.
Yeah,
and we're doing it.
and this is the opposite. Like, Sony has learned and gotten better at that.
Yeah.
Motorola, like, they threw a huge event and had this band playing, and they tried to get me to sing along with them before they presented the phones. And, like, these phones are good, but if you're not going to give us a release date, like, send me a review unit of the RAZR M and let me look at the other two.
Right. That is the key thing. You don't hold an event for an iterative device, period.
Yeah.
Unless you're the iPhone. But otherwise, you just don't
Actually,
do it.
true. Yeah.
Well, and, like, it's like, this is the new Motorola. Well, thanks.
Really? Did they say that?
Yeah.
Yes, that was a big
Oh,
part of
no.
their presentation early
that's
on in the
bad.
event. Yeah, the new
But
Motorola.
you know what else? Samsung said that the Galaxy camera was inspired by nature as well, and I cringed.
Oh.
I honestly cringed. It's like the Galaxy camera, it's a point and shoot. That's not inspired by nature. It's a point and shoot. Stop saying things that mean absolutely
Well,
nothing.
okay,
at
so
all.
Motorola's like, we're gonna give you upgrades. We're gonna get upgrades right. We promise to get better at upgrades, and not all the phones made in 2011 are gonna get upgrades.
No, but at least they're doing people
But
solid.
they're doing people solid. They'll give you $100 to buy a new phone.
Yeah.
If your phone isn't getting upgraded to Jelly Bean.
Which is to say, they'll collect a whole heap more than $100. But they'll
Right.
give you $100
But
back.
it's
Yeah.
still a total Google move. Like, they that's something that Motorola as an independent company I don't think really could have afforded to
Right,
do.
yeah, definitely.
Right.
I mean, they just kind of fronted
well,
that money.
they won't tell me the list of what phones will and won't get updated. They refuse. They don't know, or they're not telling me. But
I know what one won't is the flip out. Flip out owners, you have $100 coming to you.
I think it's only 2011 phones though.
Yeah, it's just 2011
Flip
phones.
out is 2011.
No
wasn't it?
way.
2010.
Or 2012 phones, I mean.
No,
No,
2011.
Since
Okay,
2011. Yeah.
Okay. But again, like, we hear these upgrade promises all the time. If you want to be the new Motorola, then don't have an event and promise me again.
Well, so-
Because it is. Have you ever heard we're going to get better at upgrades and gone like, oh yeah, I believe you, it's going to happen?
Well, that's
You
know,
always go, yeah, okay, whatever.
That's
Right.
a key difference between Motorola's event and Samsung's event last week. The Note 2 is launching with Jelly Bean
Right.
on board,
Yep.
out of the box. There's no upgrade wait time. There's no better Android to have that you can be
Samsung
jealous
has
about.
so much more software work to do
And-
than
yeah,
Motorola
exactly.
does on this stuff.
But I mean, the point that I was raising with Sony was just that if you do your work properly, that will become noticed. Whereas what we're dealing with here today is a whole heap of promises, both from Motorola and Nokia, and a whole heap of really just marketing material. Like we having to wade through all this marketing material, and then it's like sand. Like where is the substance for what we get? And Nokia says we promise you amazing phones. Motorola says we promise you amazing updates to software which is already available in the Galaxy Nexus. And it's like, stop giving us promises, start doing things right. And also stop making attack ads on Apple, because they're amusing for us, but they don't do much to help you sell more phones. And if companies just like focused on doing their business correctly, I just think it will just float to the surface. People will notice, people will start buying good devices. It's always the case. I mean, the reason Android has become such a dominant force is because it offers you a good user experience. Like, it's an evolving user experience. It's an imperfect one, but it's a good one. And the same is true of Apple products. I mean, the reason we have MacBook Airs is because these are the best laptops for our kind of work, specifically for our kind of work. I mean, mine is hidden, but yeah, I'm using a MacBook Air as well. It's just the way it is. And it isn't because of the hype and the marketing and who does the speech and whatever. It's because it's just good. And
I'm sorry, we're just being trolled.
We're getting trolled
here on the mobile show.
It's pretty bad.
Our managing editor and our other European are both here now. I don't know.
And they're gonna. It's a good thing they don't actually watch the show, because we would be so fired for what happened earlier.
I like that you just dropped the F-bomb on your own show.
Did I really?
Yeah.
No, he didn't. I didn't hear it.
he said fired.
I said fired.
Fired.
We'd be so fired.
I mean that's a bomb.
Fired.
No, he said
fired
so
is,
fired.
is an F word. I mean,
It's true.
I may have said it. It's been one of those shows.
They're doing a great job so far.
Look, listen,
I make my other Verge cast.
I can use Nearline as a segue, actually.
Well, no, we gotta segue
Yeah.
to the 2As.
I just want to say one thing.
Oh my God,
Can I come over here?
you
Yes,
are.
you
Just
can.
hand holding this mic.
You can.
Can I just complain about the Razer screens?
You
They're
haven't seen,
terrible.
dude. The Razer M is terrible. You haven't seen the Razer HD. It's terrible too, but it's terrible too, but in a completely different way.
Can I just replace Chris's head with my own? I'm from Chicago.
Into the mic, Eli. Into the mic.
All right, I'm leaving.
Wow.
Look, I don't care what you say. I don't care what you say. Pentile is a terrible technology that should be removed. I'm going to go watch football in the other room with the
Who's
sports
winning?
pros.
And would you tell them to quit yelling?
They're sports pros.
Yeah.
They don't know how to not yell. Two of them are... What? Never mind.
I think Nila is a few drinks ahead of us. That's my theory.
No, 0 drinks in.
Zero drinks.
Yeah.
He
Wow.
just psyched about that freaking Amazon smartphone.
We got to talk about the Amazon smartphone.
Right.
That's what I was trying to get us to.
Wait, no.
This whole time.
Dude, we skipped
What?
right past Samsung.
No, we didn't.
What?
We're
Yes.
done. What else
What's
do you want to do with
there to talk
Samsung?
about with Samsung?
We talked about the Galaxy Note 2.
We didn't even say the
Ativ?
word Ativ once.
Yeah, we argued over how
I
it's
said it
pronounced.
10 times.
Bless you.
I said it never pronunciation available.
Yeah.
Right, at
Look,
like the beginning of the
Vlad
show.
said Ativ. I said Gesundheit. We're done.
I want to talk about the Ativ S.
No, you don't. There's nothing to
Yeah,
say.
why?
We
Okay.
don't know anything about it other than it has a hairline metal design.
Just
We're
say
done.
we just say one thing about the Ativ S, please.
God, he's gonna cry. Let me just
See,
say
in
one
person,
thing.
the emotions
But
just
the-
flow so much more when the mobile show is in person.
Look, Samsung makes me all emotional. No, look. I just noticed one thing. I don't know why this didn't occur to me before. Maybe one of you guys mentioned it in one of your live blogs. I forgive me if you did. But the Ativ S does not have the 1280 by 768 display, which is interesting for a very important non-Samsung reason. This suggests that Microsoft is moving away from the chassis model that they've been pushing since Windows Phone 7, right? If they're allowing their two main OEMs to diverge that little on screen size, that tells me that they're giving these guys a lot more freedom and leeway than they had before.
Okay, that's fair.
Well, yeah, but didn't they already specify that their major display specs are going to be 1280 by 768 and 1280 by 720? I feel
Microsoft did?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Windows Phone 8
I feel
reveal.
when Windows Phone 8 got revealed for the first time.
Forget everything I just said. Creighton, if you can cut that last bit, that'd be appreciated.
No, please don't. Please don't, because that was really emotional.
I thought I was saying something really important there, but apparently not. But I mean, still, why would? Okay, let me parlay that into a different point then. Why would
Also
Microsoft?
incorrect.
Why would Microsoft specifically specify that two screen sizes that are so close to each other would be part of like the official spec?
Because Nokia got a good deal on these other screens.
Yeah, it could be as simple as that. It could just be as simple as that.
So do you think that we're going to see any other OEMs do a 768 phone, or do you think that's going to be a Nokia exclusive?
I don't think those extra 38 pixels matter.
I
48.
48.
Excuse me.
48.
Oh my
Now
God.
it's a game changer.
Now, yeah.
Yeah, do you guys remember back before the Lumia 800 was announced? They were showing a Windows Phone. I can't remember. Was it called the Shark or something? They had what was the code name of it?
It was a fish. It was like
C-Ray.
C-Ray.
Yeah.
Yes. And it was just a Windows
Without a
phone.
laptop. You see, this is a pro right here.
Yeah,
do you
definitely
know what
professional.
we're going to talk about after this? You know what we're going to talk about after that?
Boats, C-Rays.
Just saying.
Dude,
Windows,
even if we had a
responsible
list
people-
for what we're going to talk about, I don't know what we're ever going to talk about.
Windows Phone has never had a soft menu row, and that extra 48 pixels could facilitate that. The C-Ray had a soft menu row because that was an N9 chassis,
Right.
which didn't have the capacitive keys, and they disappeared. We never saw them after that.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely have different aspect ratios.
I'm making a lot of really
Slightly
unimportant points right now. Like, can we move on to something else?
Let's
please?
talk about. Okay, so we just before the podcast aired, we exclusively confirmed that Amazon is making a phone, and it's possible they'll show it at their event tomorrow alongside the new Kindle Fire that we exclusively revealed, and the backlit Kindle e-reader that we exclusively revealed.
BT dubs. Most of the listeners will know this, but I just want to say that I just retweeted it a few minutes ago. I tweeted like a year and a half ago that this phone was coming. I said, mark my words, within 2 years, Amazon phone and sure.
Did you retweet yourself?
No, I retweeted somebody retweeting me.
Yeah, yeah. That's what I was thinking about today. Like, can you retweet yourself? I checked. I actually had to check today, and you can't. But that's the way to do it. Get somebody to retweet you, and then retweet the retweet.
That's called an RT2.
Really?
No, I just made that up.
That is just meta on a whole new level.
Yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, I mean, this makes a ton of sense. Question is, does it happen tomorrow?
Does it make a ton of sense? Does it
makes
really?
So much
What
sense.
does okay? Have we talked about this before? I'm sure we have. Like, it makes sense for Amazon to sell some more Kindle books and TV shows.
I don't think it's about Kindle books at all. I think it's about. I think that when you take it
It's
down
not
to that,
about. It's not about winning the smartphone wars. It's not about
No.
getting market share.
no, for sure.
Like what defines success for Amazon for a phone? Like I really like. Why do you need a phone?
So I have I have a few different theories, but hear me out. One, Amazon Wireless is a huge online mobile retailer that they can leverage for this. Two, I think that they're
It's not
going
much
to
of
be,
a theory. That's actually just fact.
fair enough. But two, I think that they're going to do some interesting things with subsidies / discounts, and I don't really know what that means, but it's Amazon, so who knows? But things that you don't traditionally see with subsidized phones. And three, I think that in this form factor, it becomes less about Kindle and more about Amazon as a shopping destination. Why do I keep hitting this mic? Brendan, this mic is just
here's
not
the thing:
working
Amazon
for me.
a shopping destination. Maybe some people buy it so they can buy stuff on phones, but like, unless it's just like so they can make some money selling phones and whatever their profit margin is on selling phones, like, there's nothing about Amazon that makes me think they wouldn't be better served just making better software for the iPhone and Android and making that compelling.
But it isn't the answer to you.
It's like why does Facebook need a phone? Well, they don't, as long as they can get on everybody else's phone and become
but-
essential to everybody
No,
else's phone.
actually, hang on
Does
a second.
Amazon not think that they can't do that?
I remember this conversation. We've actually had it. The distinction between Facebook and Amazon is that others can't afford to shun Facebook.
Right.
Like whatever Apple decides to do, Apple can decide not to support Flash. Apple can decide not to use Google Maps. And Motorola had a little dig at that. about Apple deciding it didn't want the native YouTube app as well.
Sorry. I had another map hint, but continue. I'm sorry.
But yeah, on that point, Apple can't decide to shun Facebook because Facebook isn't just the biggest social network. It's the biggest social network by a scale and a margin that is frankly hard for us to even fathom and understand properly. So everybody needs to be with Facebook. Everybody doesn't need to have the Amazon App Store on their device. Everybody doesn't need to have the Amazon shopping app on their device or the Kindle app. People can. I mean, it's to me the reason we have the Chrome browser is so that Google search could be spread out. The reason we have the Chrome OS is so Google search can be spread out. The reason we have Android is so that Google search can be spread out. And the reason Google search needs to be spread out is so Google can sell ads. So it just comes down to all these basic.
So where's the part where
business
Amazon
models.
needs a phone? I'm waiting for that.
Well, it helps to distribute Amazon's content distribution, movies, music, etc. That store.
So I
But,
think
like-
what we'll see here is, should Amazon do this? Amazon has full control of the content distribution, or would have full control of the content
Right.
distribution on its phone, which it doesn't have right now on iOS. If you open the Kindle app, you can't buy a book in the Kindle app. It bounces you out, and there's a workaround to get your books from Amazon into your Kindle app.
Right. So all I'm really saying here is that no matter how dire things become for Amazon, it can at least rely on this theoretical smartphone and the Kindle Fire, which has been a success so far, to push its wares out because Amazon is
I
about.
think that, the Kindle Fire, I don't even think you can make the case there. I mean, it is a pretty good shopping experience, but do you really think that a phone is essential to Amazon's future in the same way that mobility is essential to the future of Microsoft or Samsung or even Facebook?
Well, the Fire wasn't essential either. I mean,
No,
let's
that's
not kid ourselves.
this is a fun side project to make some extra cash. On
Right,
the side.
that's the thing, right? For Amazon, now that they've gone so far,
They're
first
doing it
with the
because
App
they
Store,
can.
right? They took the time to build out the App Store before they even launched the Fire, right? They started it as a sideload thing for other Android devices. They took the time to do that. Then they took the time to fork Android and do the Fire. At this point, it's like, why not? They have the hardware contacts to make this happen. They have the software expertise to make this happen. There's very little disadvantage to them going out and saying, hey, let's do some cool things with the phone and experiment with our business model, which I'm sure they're going to do.
Yeah, I mean, to Chris's point, I don't think that we necessarily need to make the argument that a phone is fundamental to Amazon's future. But then, to answer what you're saying, being on mobile internet is something that everybody needs to do. I mean, it's a massive cliche. I know that much. But the facts and the stats back it up. Just recently, the BBC iPlayer application, and the BBC iPlayer streaming service, you can do it via the web, you can do it via smart TVs, etc. They report stats about just how much growth there has been in requests from tablets and smartphones, and we can see the same thing with websites and how much traffic is shifting to requests from mobile devices. So having your batch of services, which in Amazon's case is enormous, you could buy pretty much anything from Amazon. I'm pretty sure. I mean, you can buy cheese, you can buy clothes, you can buy books, physical ones, digital ones, etc., etc. Having something that you're just in complete control of, and having it be a successful device, I mean, that's the thing that's going to be critical.
No, it's not going to be a successful device by any standards that we care about. It'll be like, that's why I'm saying, what's their metric for success? If their metric for success is we sell a couple 100,000 phones and people use it to buy some crap off of Amazon, then go for it. More power to you. I'm really excited. But if Amazon's getting into the market to try and own 5 to 10% of the smartphones, like that's hugely ambitious, and I don't think they have it in them.
Doesn't the Kindle Fire already own a bigger chunk of that on the tablet space?
Well, we don't
We
really
really
know.
don't know because Amazon has never fessed up to
Yeah,
actual
they
sales
claim
figures.
it's 22% of the tablet market, right? I think 22.
Yeah, I heard
yeah,
something like 20%.
It's there's some numbers that float around that figure.
I mean,
Yeah, but-
our anticipation, our expectation is that Amazon won't be ready and won't have a compelling proposition for people. But then, did we really see the
Our
Kindle
jaded
Fire?
expectation.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? They're jaded because they're justified by history.
Right,
But then,
absolutely.
did we really see the Kindle Fire coming at that price point?
I thought
Were
we
we
all pretty
ready
much
for that?
expected that to be $200. Was that a shock? Kindle
Which
Fire?
device?
The Kindle Fire.
I can't remember what the expectations were.
I don't
mean,
think anybody expected it to be super expensive at all.
Well, the thing is, at the time that it was announced, there wasn't another compelling $200
Yeah, right.
tablet on the
Yeah.
market. That's for sure.
Right.
So,
I mean, there wasn't even a compelling $500 Android tablet. Anyway.
oh, Android, yeah. But,
yeah.
I mean,
Well, there still isn't a compelling $500 Android
I was going to
tablet.
say, there really is not.
Hey, you can buy 2 Nexus 7s.
That's true. You could. Yeah.
What's up? Created wants a flyer.
My compelling $500
And
God.
Creighton is trolling as well.
Flyer.
You could know if you could get Jelly Bean on a HTC flyer, I would totally.
Oh yeah,
be
let's see.
compelling.
Let's see Jelly Bean on your flyer, Creighton.
I would.
Yeah,
I would
show
go with
us
that.
Jellybean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Show us your S Pen.
yeah, your scribe pen. Your scribe pen.
Yeah, the
All right,
scribe
we're
pen.
not going to agree on whether or not it makes sense for. It doesn't. It's not. I don't care about Amazon.
It's not that it makes sense. Is that it doesn't not make sense.
Right.
Like there's no compelling reason for them.
Like, it
not
doesn't
to do
hurt
it.
them.
Right.
Like what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a write off if it fails.
Right.
It's-
Yeah. I
it's
mean,
nothing.
so say they announce.
I hope they call it the Kin then. Just like screw
say
it.
they announce 2 Fires tomorrow, which I think is the common belief right
Yeah.
now. I mean, when they went to their hardware partner, they could have just been like, while you're at it, make a couple 100,000 of these for
Make
us.
this 4.5 inches.
Yeah.
And, you know.
But hey, and to your point, Chris, RIM kind of did that with the BlackBerry Playbook. I mean,
Yeah.
that was one of the most epic flops ever.
Yep.
They wrote off, I think, 400 million in 1 quarter because they just had unsold playbooks that were just going to give away.
Yeah.
Or refund retailers. I think retailers had bought them, and then just to keep goodwill with retailers, RIM had to buy them
HP
back.
did a
And
whole
look
lot
at
of
where
that.
RIM
I think
is.
that too.
But this is the point. RIM hasn't been selling phones in any particular. I mean, RIM's phone sales have been shrinking, and that company's still surviving. So even while RIM is doing every single thing possible wrong, and writing off so much of a loss, you know, what I'm saying is an unsuccessful product hasn't been able to sync RIM. So an unsuccessful product in a smartphone
Yeah, it won't
isn't going to sync
Amazon, but
No,
it's-
definitely not, yeah.
We're not going to be talking about Kindle phone versus iPhone,
No.
in the smartphone wars.
You know what? You're too jaded, man.
I am.
Don't.
You should like have a shave and
But
see if that changes things.
Vlad, I hate to do this, but I have to completely
You
shoot
too,
down
man.
here.
Just have a shave.
You look so good with your soul. When you had that picture
Can
that
we,
you
can we get an
tweeted.
image of Vlad up with the
Yeah.
soul patch?
Yeah.
please.
We're close
look-
on.
He looked so.
Or the
Good.
mustache.
Important
If there's a
qualification.
mustache photo.
There's a mustache photo.
Yeah, mustache with the soul patch. Yeah. What's the term for that? There's a name for that. Mustache and soul patch
Help
together.
us out, chat. Mustache plus soul patch.
I don't know.
I love that. I
the
was winning
unholy
the argument
combination.
and just derailed it into.
Yeah, no, I
facial
really
hair.
had something important to say to you.
I think I derailed it into facial.
Oh yeah,
hair.
no. So I'm going to
Yeah, let me
derail
get
your
ready for
argument. Really hard to concentrate right now. RIM. So the point that you were trying to make is that like RIM, all RIM does is phones, and they still can't profit on phones. And so, they aren't being sunk by their unsuccessful phones.
No,
so
I was
Amazon
saying,
won't
I was saying,
be.
no, I was saying the
Let-
playbook was a thoroughly unsuccessful device for RIM, and it was a move into a new market. Let me take this off because it's a serious point. It was RIM moving into a new market, which
Yeah.
is what we're proposing Amazon should do with a smartphone.
Yeah.
And RIM wasn't sunk by its attempt to enter a new market, even though it was.
Yes, that was it.
It's a Van Dyke, by the way.
Van Dyke. And a beautiful Van Dyke at that. Chat, tell us if you think that Vlad should grow that back.
The answer is yes.
Good luck
Yes.
with that. Good luck with that. This
Vladimir,
is a democracy, man.
No, so okay. I mean, I take your point that like RIM survived the playbook. I'm not saying that the phone is going to
Playbook.
undo Amazon.
Come on,
I'm just saying
playbook?
it's going
I
to
like
be
it.
a sideshow.
No, of course it's going to be a sideshow.
everything that
Until the
Amazon
end
does
of
on
time,
it is gonna
right?
be a sideshow.
Until the end of time, Amazon's core business is going to be the world's largest and meanest retail distributor. I mean, they're decimating the brick and mortar business, and they will continue to do that until every single big box and small box and tiny box is out of business.
Chat says yes,
but-
you must grow the Van Dyke.
Yes, he needs to do that. and even the Fire, even the e-ink Kindles, all of that stuff is a sideshow. Amazon has always been about content. They don't care where you buy the Kindle book. They don't care if it's on this. They don't care if it's on an iPad. They just want you to buy the Kindle book.
Yeah.
The Kindles that they make are just a means of distributing that content.
And they're making them at or near a loss.
Right.
So look, the final thing I'm going to say about Amazon is, to me personally, the company's surprised me with its hardware and I mean, particularly with the Kindle Fire. I didn't expect for that to be such a compelling product and for Amazon to see that much success. And I think Amazon deserves credit because that was a completely unexplored area and it went in and it found success. And the same is absolutely true of smartphones. And I choose to be more optimistic about Amazon because, I mean, the other thing is we know that they have a smartphone coming. We know pretty much nothing else beyond that.
Right.
So it can
Safe
be...
to say it runs Android.
Yeah, okay.
Probably, yeah.
Right. So it can be a sideshow, maybe, but then look at what the main shows are producing for us. This is the thing that's disappointing me, is big traditional companies who are supposed to... Yeah, people are psyched about
it's all right.
Yeah.
We get some quiet in here. We're recording the show.
You should drop that first. Yeah, there you have it, man.
I love how you countered the screaming outside with an even louder. Can we get some quiet in here? We're recording.
Yeah, that was it.
Okay, we need to stop talking about Amazon. Except, I'm going to get the last word. The interface on the Kindle Fire is boring as hell, and if that's what they're doing on a phone, it's going to be a feature phone that runs Android apps and Kindle and sells stuff from Amazon, and that's
agree.
just boring as hell.
I agree. I can't argue with that. Fine.
All right, next week, iPhone 5. We've talked ad nauseum. We've seen all the leaks. I don't even like.
Oh, dude, let me talk about the one I played with.
Oh
Yeah,
yes,
yes.
that
Yeah.
is what I was.
Yeah, that happened.
Was it sexy? Was it awesome? Was it everything you hoped?
Actually, no. The sexiest thing at IFA was OLED TVs. I'm pretty much prepared and willing and ready to get married to an OLED TV.
An 8K OLED?
Yeah.
So you
Oh,
played
right.
with a mock-up of an iPhone.
Yes.
We-
I did.
well,
I did.
probably, maybe.
It's a dummy unit, but here's the important thing, and there's that awesome video which a certain big TV network used without our permission.
What?
Yeah. Anyway, but yeah. So I played with a mock-up. This was at a case maker's booth. This was first spotted by GSM Israel. Let's give those guys the credit for being eagle-eyed. So it's at one of those case makers' booths. It's pretty much exactly as we've seen with the leaks. It's the iPhone 4S design, just stretched out vertically to a 4-inch display. I mean, physically, it isn't all that exciting, but you know, once you turn on the display, I'm sure it will be more interesting.
It's thinner.
It is thinner,
Slightly thinner, yeah.
but you know, the industrial design is broadly the same. There's that two-tone back, and presumably it'll be aluminum, and there's the smaller dock connector. I mean, again, these are details we discussed at length previously. What's actually fascinating was that, speaking to those case makers, they said they're beginning volume production to ship next week. And they said this to me before Apple announced the 12th event. This event on the 12th was known by people who apparently seem to be able to keep their mouth shut. Aside from these case makers, but also the things that I heard were that they weren't alone in having these mock-ups and having these dummies. You know, guys like Incipio and who else was there? Belkin. All the other case makers apparently had dark rooms where they had the exact same dummies, and you know, when somebody's proposing to do business with them, they would sneak them into the dark room, you know, get them to swear on a Bible or Quran and then all sorts of other religious objects that they won't speak of it, and then show off their designs for that particular dummy in mock-up. So really, I can't imagine this not being what the real iPhone looked like.
I don't get it. So there are two different theories, right? One is that there are enough leaks coming out of the factories where the case makers can get the information that they want so they can prepare for the phone. Yeah. That's theory one. Theory two is that Apple is feeding companies like Belkin and Casemate ahead of time the information they need to prepare accessories. I refuse to buy that. I think that theory is a non-starter because Apple it doesn't. I mean, yes, obviously, it's like cool for consumers if they have accessories on day one. Apple doesn't care, and guess what? You're going to buy an iPhone whether you can get a case-made case for it.
And the other point to support what you're saying is Apple sells bumpers anyway.
Right.
So it's not particularly bothered or interested in that. That's spot on. But at the same time, you know, these guys who make it their business to know those things have legal and presumably illegal ways of finding out that information.
Right.
Which is, you know, okay, well, probably just legal ways. Let me leave my allegations, and they have legal ways that we don't have to obtain that information and keep it on the wraps while working on it. But also another thing which surprised me was talking to accessory makers. They said the new dock connector, they're psyched about it.
Oh, of course they are.
They're like, dude.
Yeah, why wouldn't they?
Dude,
they get to
we take
sell a
the
whole new
bit-
batch of accessories.
We take the bit that plugs into this, swap it out with the bit that plugs into the new dock connector,
And sell a new
boom.
accessory.
Sell the
Another
same thing.
$60.
but it's new.
Yep.
No, new design and new. It's huge for accessory makers. And I mean, the other thing is, if a accessory maker small time can get it right and match the iPhone and have cases available the first week, like, it makes the company, it's huge. And so they're willing to take big risks to do that. And we've seen with previous mock-ups, like stuff that didn't work out, right?
With the iPad.
Yeah, and so
And even with the 4S,
with the
when
4S,
people took
man.
a bet that it was going to take a total different change with the design.
So I mean, it's worth it for a lot of these companies to take a flyer and take a shot at getting it right. But I mean, here's a question that I wanted to ask, just to, like, wrap up the show, which is basically, is anybody expecting any surprises next week? And my answer is, like, no. We're gonna see the iPhone. I think they're gonna call it the iPhone 5 probably. That's kind of a surprise, I guess. But other than that, like, I'm not expecting anything to blow my hair back or make me go, where did that come from?
If I can just interject quickly, just to support my point about industrial espionage, which is probably done legally again.
Of course. Nothing but legal industrial espionage.
When you see Samsung and LG coming out with things that are just a direct match for each other, those guys never speak to one another. They never, send out a memo or a hint. Hey guys, we're working on a 55-inch OLED. What are you doing?
The Optimus View is a fast follow and a very poor follow.
That's true. That's true. But I mean, the 55-inch OLED coincidence, it just doesn't work for me. Both of them go into 55 inches exactly. And this year at IFA again, we saw 3 companies coming out with 84-inch 4K TVs, which just is not a coincidence for everybody to look at 84 inches, 4K resolution, and roughly the same range of prices.
Right.
I mean, those guys keep track of each other, and I feel
that's
like
it's certainly, and even in the mobile space, speaking to LG last year at MWC, when they were rolling out the Optimus View, they said, when Samsung was working on the Note, we kind of knew about it. We actually, our code name for the View was the Note, and we ended up having to change it, and because of, obviously Samsung beat them to market. So as much as they're like, siloed companies that are, blood competitors there's definitely some bleeding in between.
Yeah, but let's try to answer Deet's question. Is there any surprise that we can anticipate with the iPhone? What do you think there?
I really, really hope there is. I'm not confident that there will be. I'm kind of like how Dieter feels that we're going to see kind of like what the leaks have shown us so far. Obviously, the software, there might be some tricks up the sleeve for iOS 6 that Apple didn't fully reveal, as there always is. But I'm not confident.
No, there's going to be the extra row.
Yeah, the extra row of icons, and it's going to be a whole new world. I mean, I'm excited anyways because I'm excited to be able to have an LTE iPhone, which we, almost largely expect. And a new iPhone's kind of always exciting for phone nerds. So, but we'll see.
Fair enough. I mean, that's kind of a. I mean, we usually like a nice downbeat boot.
Yeah.
To
I mean,
show.
don't get me wrong. Like, LTE iPhone, I'm super excited for that. I don't want to go back to not having an LTE phone, and because I need it for tethering, and the iPhone is super reliable at tethering, and it'll be fun to, like, use an iPhone a lot again because it's been a while since I've used it as, like, my main phone for months at a time.
I have the sour note. LTE won't mean anything once this phone comes out.
Yeah.
It's already starting to, we've talked about this, it's already starting to slow down significantly in Chicago, I think because of the GS3, which I see everywhere in the streets.
San Francisco, same thing.
Yeah, and the iPhone is just going to be that effect times 10.
I'm switching to T-Mobile, I guess, in order to be able to get data at all, ever.
There's no safe harbor.
And you won't have an iPhone either.
There's no safe harbor. But look, there's regarding the iPhone prediction thing, I mentioned earlier today on Twitter that I do still hold out at least a sliver of hope, and this is the tiniest sliver. But I think there's some chance that we have just all been completely hoodwinked, because look. No, you're right. Look, you're right. You're right. It's not going to happen, but there's a chance.
Yeah.
A tiny chance.
A tiny chance.
Tim Cook is a smart guy.
Yeah.
When he said that he was doubling down on security, he wasn't just blowing smoke.
Yeah. Except he used the phrase doubling down, which means the next thing I'm going to say is not true. That's what doubling down means.
I'm going to screw up on whatever follows after doubling down.
Yeah.
Whatever noun follows after doubling down.
As powerful as Tim Cook is, he cannot escape that law of nature.
But just take yourself away to that special place right now in your mind, and think you're at the Apple event next week.
So you mean where we wanted to be last year when the iPhone 4S was announced?
Yeah, exactly. Just close your eyes for a second and think you're sitting at
Chris is
Yerba
actually
Buena.
closing his eyes right now.
You're in Yerba Buena, and Tim Cook comes out on stage. Oh wait, here comes Phil. Okay, they're talking about the device. They show it, and we're all just thinking, I mean, like, you know, we're ready to post the news that it's an elongated iPhone for us, but no, it's like half as thick. It's got the teardrop design that we predicted last year. I mean, I'm saying it's possible.
It's possible.
It's possible.
Yeah.
I think that's a great note to end on.
That is a great note to end on. Thank you so much for watching us while we were in the room. Apologies for the technical problem in the middle of it. For what it's worth, it's not the fault of anybody in this room or in the room next to us, which is...
So you think.
I'm pretty sure. If you want to follow us on Twitter, you can and you should. Chris is E-Power. Vlad is Vlad Savov. Dan is D. Seifert. DC Seifert. D-C-S-E-I-F.
Very good, yes.
E-R-T. I'm at Backlon. We are all at Verge, and we will be back at you next week. Thanks, man, for watching.